you're not taking care of you. In order for your household to be okay, you have to be okay. And you're doing so much for everyone, but you're not doing what feeding into yourself, you know?
All right. Hello. Welcome back to You Need a Counselor podcast. My name is Dr. Julie Johnson. I am the president and founder here at Heart and Solutions in Iowa. We are a mental health counseling and behavioral health counseling agency. If you're in Iowa, get in touch with us so that you can get started with counseling in any of our 6 office locations across the state.
And I'm Chrissa Hunt. I am the vice president in charge of our BHIS department. So BHIS stands for Behavioral Health Intervention Services, and that is the program where we go in home and work with children 4 through 18 on different behavioral skills. And we can also see them in school or in the office as well, or telehealth. And this is our podcast, You Need a Counselor. So we are designed for people curious about counseling, but have barriers keeping them from experiencing the benefits of counseling. Our mission is to share stories about counseling, good, bad, and indifferent, and spread the message that everyone can benefit from mental health and behavioral health counseling services.
We post on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Central Time, new episode every Sunday night. And we encourage you to do whatever task you hate doing. Batch it up for Sunday night. Don't do laundry every single day of the week. Collect all your clean laundry throughout the week and then put it away Sunday night at 5 p.m. Central. We'll be putting away our laundry too. That gives you that entire week to listen to the episode on Sunday night and get scheduled with your counselor or get connected with our resources from that week's episode that following week. If you don't have laundry to put away, which I don't know who doesn't, but if you don't, batch any task. And batching tasks is really about budgeting our energy and using our energy in the most efficient ways that we can. And so if I put away half my laundry on Wednesday night and half my laundry on Sunday night, it's actually going to take me 75% more time to do both of those things than it will to do it one time per week. So batch up all those tasks that you hate doing. Go ahead and do them on Sunday nights. All right. So our guest today is Paris J. And so we're very, very excited to have her here. Hi, Paris. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So Paris is an entrepreneur. She's a blogger. And she is a mother. So she's a mother of 3 children, which as the mom of one child, that always blows my mind. I don't understand how people function with 3 of them, because I picture mine 3 times, like adding 2 more of mine, and I lose my mind. So, mother of 3, and very, very dedicated to helping women to be authentically themselves, and to be able to have authenticity in our lives, not only as parents, but also as people. So we're very, very excited to have Paris on. So Paris, tell us about Sister Soul Motherhood.
Okay. So Sister Soul Motherhood, actually, it was a platform I started based off the women in my family. We have it's more women in our family than we have men. And I noticed, like, with all of us, majority of us having children, we have a tendency of, as mothers, or not just as mothers, as women, neglecting ourselves because we get so busy with our daily lives of working, of trying to maintain home, and we kind of lose ourselves in all of that. So like watching the women in my family, there was always times of like, I need to, have some time for myself. I need to make some time for myself. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start a group for where we can have like outings, play dates and do stuff like that and learn, teach the women in my family to learn how to do more self-care. So I started planning, we started like doing trips out of town. We started doing brunch on Sundays, and I just took it from there. And I was like, you know what? How about I not only do it for the women in my family, but women outside of my family? Because I know so many people I went to school with and coworkers and stuff who always lose themselves within trying to be mom, and that's all they know about mom. But it's like you are a person outside of motherhood. So I had to I felt like it was my purpose to start Sister Soul Motherhood, if that makes sense.
That's so cool. I didn't realize you did like in-person events as well.
Yes.
So if people want to connect with Sister Soul Motherhood and kind of see about these events, where can they find you then?
They can find me on Instagram at Sister Soul Motherhood. I do have a Facebook platform also, and it's under the same name, Sister Soul Motherhood. And this year, I'm planning on posting more events. I'm super excited. I want to do also a mom mixer soon. So if the ladies want to be on the lookout for that, I'll have that coming up soon also.
This is great because you're not only an advocate for women and for mothers, but you're also an advocate for mental health. And I think that that is so important for I think that the outings that you're doing and the connections that you're making and creating that safe space for the identity that so often is lost in motherhood.
Yes.
I can relate with it. I feel like I'm called mom or Monica's mom more than I'm called Julie. Or sometimes they'll call me Monica by mistake, and I'll be like, that's okay. I'm used to that.
Right.
Being called Monica's mom or being called, mom, it does become such a big part of our identity. And what you're doing is protecting those other pieces of our identity from being overwhelmed by
Yes.
motherhood.
Yes, I am, because it can be a lot, and I had to learn, which I'm still learning. It's still a journey. I'm still learning because I think I'm always like trying to be this super mom, and I'm like, Paris, you can't do everything. I'm like, oh, I could do this, I could do that, I could do that, and then it's like at the end of the day, I don't have any time for myself because in which I had to learn, and that's why I'm so happy I invested into therapy because it was like, or counseling, because I begin to notice like you're not taking care of you. In order for your household to be okay, you have to be okay. And you're doing so much for everyone, but you're not doing what feeding into yourself. So that's what I was like. And this, well, it started during the pandemic where I was like, I'm going to take the step and invest into counseling. And that's what I did. And it was the best investment I have ever made.
So cool. Okay, well, so you brought up your counseling experience. Then do you want to kind of talk about that and what led you to counseling and about that experience?
Yes. So I had my 2-year-old daughter during the pandemic. So that was the most craziest thing for me to be pregnant during the pandemic. And like the hospitals, they had the strict policies with how they want everything to run because of COVID. So it was a lot on me mentally. After I had her, I decided not to go back to work because I was working at a hospital, and I was so scared after the pandemic to go back to work, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people were. Um, and I became a stay-at-home mom. And during that process, like I said, I was always trying to do everything. And within that, I began to lose myself. Also, having postpartum after having my daughter. And I just noticed that in my mental state, I felt like I needed someone to talk to. And I wanted someone to talk to where I wouldn't be judged. And I wanted someone to um, listen, without giving feedback at that moment, just someone that can lend an opening ear and just let me pour out all my thoughts, everything on the table. And so I was like, I would always like see therapy and counseling and movies, and I would be like, oh, one day I'm going to get a counselor. I'm going to get a counselor. And I was like, you know what, Paris? You go out, you spend a nice amount on food, you go, you buy yourself clothes. Why not go to counseling? What is stopping you? And I was like, you know what? This year I'm going to take that step. And I was 2020, no, 2021 when I decided to get into counseling, and I took that step, and it has been so amazing with my counselor. And I felt like after every session, it was like an open diary. Like I used to be a writer when I was in school, but I can't tell a story. Like as I got older, I stop writing. It was like, oh, it's too much time. I don't have no time to write. But with me being able to be verbal and talk to my counselor, it felt so good to talk to someone who understood where I was coming from, and who could give me advice and who could listen, and it was amazing.
I love that analogy of an open diary,
Mhm.
of therapy and a counseling space as that place where we can express ourselves, and it's all output. There's no input. And in our culture, I feel like everything is input. There's
Yeah.
right in our everything that we watch on social media, or anything that we watch on TV, or anything that, like, when we walk through the grocery store, we walk through a store, it's all input.
Yes.
And it's all intentional input to try to get us to do things.
Yeah.
Like Netflix, are you still there? Watch this next show,
Right.
right?
I recommend you watching this. You'll like
Yes,
this.
exactly, right? People who watch this also like this. I mean, things are everything around us is input, and it can be so overwhelming. And children, our families, our loved ones, that's all input too.
Yes.
And with our partners in life, maybe our romantic partners, there's more give and take in that relationship, right? If that's a healthy relationship, there's input, but there's also output, right? But children are all input,
Yeah.
right? They are coming at you. They don't give you anything at those young ages, right?
Right,
They get
right.
Yes, we get love, and they're adorable, and we feel they're so snuggly, right? But emotionally, we're not getting anything. It's all, we're
Mhm.
giving everything to them, and they're giving us stuff to do for them
Right.
every minute of the day.
Mhm.
And so, especially when we're in a relationship like that with our children, where we're doing all the giving and we're not getting to output our thoughts, feelings, emotions, right, to them, because they're a child. They shouldn't be
Right.
receiving. And so being able to put that somewhere else is amazing. And I love that you recognize that. I also love the analogy where you said, I spend money on food, right? I invest in healthy
Yeah.
foods to keep my body functioning and my organs healthy, right? And I invest in clothing for myself. And this being another piece of that, because that is a barrier sometimes for people. Um,
Right.
so what did you feel like? So you invested your time, you invested money, and how did that investment come out for you? And what were you able to see in terms of changes in your life?
hmm It was a big investment on me mentally. Like you were saying, the other stuff, feed into my body, but this fed into my mind. So, been able to talk to someone, I noticed it was a change in the structure, how the way I ran my household, how the way I ran myself. I am more considerate of myself and of my time. So, I noticed like now I'm able to make sure like I have Paris time, I call it. And even my kids, I kind of talk to them too. I'm like, hey, once you see me, like, if I have a book open or if I'm at my desk and I have my candle lit, or if I'm in the bathroom and I have the door closed, that's my time. That's me time. So now they understand. And like my oldest, he's always like, hey, mama, she in the bathroom. I smell her candle. She's having me time. So I had to kind of like, I make it fun for them too, because I let them do their time too. Like sometimes I even light a candle for them while they're in the tub,
Uh-huh.
so they can kind of understand where I'm coming from, to see that like, okay, this is relaxing. Like now I see why she needs this time. So it helped me out in that area when it comes to my kids, but it also helped me out with my relationship too, because I am in a relationship. And I noticed like now I have became more keen to making sure that we have our time too. I also have something that's fun that we came up with. We have a family fun night drawer, well, fun ideas drawer, and then we have a date night idea drawer. So I let the kids pick from it when we have time where we can take them places, and they pick from there. And I let them put stuff in there that they want to do during that time. And then I have ideas for me and my guy, and we put stuff in there. And so we pick out the jar, wherever it says we do that day. So I found a lot of different avenues when it comes to making time for me, my kids, and my relationship within counseling from the recommendations that I did receive from my counselor. So it has helped me so much, like with trying to find balance in between work life balance and relationships and within myself. So yeah, it's been amazing.
I love that. I love the idea of the date night jar and the fun family fun day jar too. That's fun.
Yeah.
How was the process of finding a counselor? Was the first counselor you met the one that you went with and started working with weekly, or did it take a little time to find the perfect fit for you for counseling?
So the agency that I went under, they have a few different counselors and they give you their background. So I just read through all the different counselors and I picked the one that I feel like I could probably relate to more based off of the descriptions they gave. And so that's how I chose my counselor. And ever since I've been working with her, it's been absolutely amazing. And yeah, I feel like I picked the right person. I feel like if you having problems with choosing a counselor, or not having problems, but if you're trying to choose a counselor, I feel like find someone that you feel like can be more relatable to you. There's so many awesome counselors out here. I know one personally. She's a counselor, and she works with like kids. And then I know a few counselors that work with solely couples. So I feel like whatever aspect of your life you feel like you want to work on, some people might not feel like they need counselors for like just overall. Some people might be like, I want a counselor for this aspect of my life with my relationship, or I need a counselor when it comes to like my childhood trauma to peel back layers. There's a lot of different counselors for different things in your life. So I feel like just make sure you do your research and find someone that is relatable and that you feel comfortable with. And I felt very comfortable with her, so I stuck with her.
Awesome.
I love that. It sounds like so much of what you're doing is helping women to see their time as something that can be budgeted.
Yeah.
And it's a time and energy budget. And in our society, we hear a lot about money budgeting. We hear a lot about, well, your paycheck comes in and then this amount goes to rent and this amount goes to groceries and this amount goes to, and we hardly ever hear about time and energy budgeting. And so what I love about what you're doing is, yeah, you are intentionally so Chrissa and I, we call them big rocks and little rocks, because if you're
Mhm.
filling a jar, you got to put those big rocks in first, and then you can put all the little rocks around the big rocks. And whereas if you put all the little rocks in, you're not going to fit the big rocks in. And so you're identifying, okay, these are my big rocks. And one of the big rocks is time for myself, and then time for my friends, and then time with my kids, and then time with my partner. And you're putting those in first, and then all that other little stuff, right? I gotta buy shoelaces. I have to clean the fridge, right? Or all that
Right,
other
right.
stuff gets placed into the jar around those big rocks. And so you're protecting those times that are necessary for our well-being and for our connection with others and our connection with ourselves. And you're teaching your children how to do that by respecting their alone time as well, right? Like their alone time, if you light a candle for them while they're taking a bath, that's not a time that you're going to be like, your room is a mess. Right?
Right, right, right.
You're going to be like, where's your homework? Because you're modeling for them how you are respecting that time for them. And then you're setting that expectation in your home that they will do the same for you.
Yeah.
And I think it's just so beautiful, this idea of budgeting that in. And when you're talking about the outings and the brunches, sometimes it makes it so much easier to budget in time that's for ourselves. I'm going to budget in time where I get to be Paris, not mom, where I get to be Julie, not mom, right? And we're budgeting that in. And sometimes having something like that in place, the structure of that, right? There are other people planning for me to be there, can make it so much easier for us to actually do it. Because otherwise, if I'm like, okay, I've got brunch with the girls, I'm going to go do that. Whereas if I go, I'm going to go sit in the corner and read a book and relax until I fall asleep for an hour, I might not do that. I might have a much harder time to do that. So I love what you're doing with adding this structure for the women in your group so that they can put that big rock in place and keep it there and protect it.
Thank you.
Yes. So you also help people learn about love languages for themselves and for their families. So and we haven't had anybody on the show to talk about love languages before. So for anybody who's listening who doesn't know about love languages, could you talk through that a little bit? Give us a little overview.
Yes. So I feel like so love language is a way that everyone likes to be loved. I feel like nowadays a lot of people don't know, like you said, a lot of people aren't familiar with love language. We're all different, we're all unique in our own ways. So everyone has a different way that they want to be loved, and I feel like me personally, I with me being a mom, my love language is pretty simple. It's helping, helping where I don't have to do as much, which me and my partner over time we have learned each other love language. So now he knows, like, okay, I know that she has a lot on her plate. I'm gonna come home and we're gonna cut stuff in half. So if she's cooking dinner, I'm going to run the kids' bath. I'm going to wash the dishes. And with me, after they get out the bath, I get them ready for bed. I get everything in order. I do the bedtime stories and so forth. So we have learned each other love languages. And I know, like, sometimes when he gets off of work, I like to have him some bath water ran because that's stuff that makes him happy. It's the small things. And so even not within relationships, but also like with my kids, I have learned their love language. I'm like, my oldest, he likes when he comes home, if I have like snacks for him already laid out on the table. He don't even have to find, like, I'm like, here's your snacks. So when you're doing your homework, you can snack on stuff, so I can make it more comfortable for you. And then you'll have your snacks and you don't have to dig through the pantry to try to find stuff. And it makes him happy. So I have learn to figure out things that make people feel loved, things that make them feel warm inside. And I think that's what love language is with everyone. Everyone has a way that they want to feel. And when you do, like, it's like the smallest things. Some people were like, oh God, I don't know. I know if I can do stuff like that. No, it could be the simplest things. Like, I'm a flower girl, so I love flowers. So, sometimes he might surprise me with some flowers. So something just as simple as that. And my mom, I know she loves her snacks too. So sometimes she doesn't stay that far from me. I'll go down there. I'll go to like a Family Dollar and get some little snacks and I'll put it in a bag. And I'll go down there and she's like, what is these for? And I'm like, I just wanted to get them for you. And it'll make her, it's like the smallest gestures that'll make people, feel good. So I mean, with everything that's going on in this world, learn your people's love language. Learn your family love language, your kids, your partner or your friends. And it's just the smallest things that can make a person day. So I'm very big on love languages. Like I said, with my friends, if I can feel something going on, sometimes people might not, like I said, might not want to open up to you in general. So I'll be like, hey, I see you might have a lot going on. We can go out for brunch. We don't even have to discuss what's going on, but I want to take you out to brunch because I know I feel like you need that. Some people need that time where they can just not worry about what they have going on, but they could just sit there and just talk to their friends, have a good laugh. Also, like, actually, we just did a Galentine's. I did it for the women in my family and a few of my friends. And when we did it, everybody was like, this is our first event, Galentine's. And they were like, oh my God, I'm so happy you came up with this. Like, I would have never thought, like, I needed this. I had everyone bring one gift for everybody and we just stuck it in the bag and everybody had like gifts and stuff. And it was so nice. And I'm like, everyone needs that. You need that person who can bring that energy where it feels like, some days, you just we all have those days where it's just like, ooh, this was a day. You need that time or someone that you can pour out into, where like, whether doesn't have to be always, talking about the issues, but just laughing with. So I always want to be that person, and I always want to learn people love language.
Yeah, that's so fun. How did you figure out your children's love languages? Was there like a quiz you had them take, or how can people help figure that out for their own?
So I found out my 12-year love language from, I got this book from Barnes and Noble, and it's called, oh God, it's in there on my desk. I'm sorry, I can't think. I think I put it on my page. Let me see. I think it's like um let me know about you or something. And in the book it asks like, what's one thing you wish your mom understood about you? And then he'll write his part, and then it'll ask me what's one thing I want him to learn about me, and I'll fill that part in. And so I will read the stuff that he will write. Like when I bought the book, I told him, I'm like, this is like an open thing, like don't feel uncomfortable putting how you feel in there, because I want to know. So I start using that with him. And then I also incorporated mother and son dates, but we would actually go out, because I have a 12-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 2-year-old. So I have like gaps in between ages, and I have had to learn them. Like my 12-year-old doesn't want to do everything that my 6-year-old and 2-year-old wants to do. He's like becoming a preteen. So I started doing mother and son dates, because I know he is like one of my more expensive kids compared to my two youngest. He likes Starbucks dates and sushi, stuff I like, whether my 6-year-old like, ew, I don't like sushi. So I am able to talk to him more, because we like a lot of the same stuff. So I take him like on like sushi dates and stuff. And I ask him questions, like, what do you feel like I work on as, your mom? And where do you what did you like about, that goes on in the household? And what do you feel like we can do, to help you out? So I just, talk to him and just get a chance to know what's going on in his mind, because, nowadays there's so much going on with kids too, and I know how I felt when I was his age. I was like, I wish my mom could talk to me and understand me, because you do get lost in your younger children, when you do have older children, because you feel like they're so independent, like they don't need me as much as he doesn't need me as much as my youngest. And I don't want him to feel like, oh, okay, she's always putting her time into them and not pouring into me. So I started the mother and son dates, and that's how I figured out his love language. But my two youngest, I think it's more so kind of knowing. With them, they're still young, so I know like they like to have fun. They like to jump around, they like treat me, snacks and stuff like that. So, they like watching funny Disney movies. My daughter, she likes playing dress up. So I play dress up with her. I let her do my nails or something like that. And I know it makes her happy. So yeah.
Absolutely. What I love about that in particular is, again, you're seeing your time as valuable to the people around you, and you're giving them the gift of your time and your attention. And you were able to, when you sought out therapy and counseling, you're able to go, okay, I need somebody to do that for me. You experience, oh yeah, this is what I was looking for. I needed someone to do that for me. And now I am, because it sounds like you're naturally a person who does that for others. And so then being able to recognize, okay, I love doing this for others, but I also need somebody to do it for me. I'm going to go do that in counseling. And it allows us to be more free to, because we're not processing our own stuff alone. And so we're processing it with somebody else, which then frees up our emotional energy and our time and our thoughts. And now so that we can then spend that time and energy on our family members and the people in our lives that we love, our friends and our children and our partner, and spend time with ourselves, but not time arguing with ourselves or processing these things, right, with ourselves, but being able to spend that time enjoying ourselves. And I think that is such a great benefit of counseling, and such a great benefit of this group that you are inviting others to, the Sister Soul Motherhood group, being able to talk with like-minded people and being able to hold space for our main identity of who we are outside
Right.
of our roles to other people. And it's funny because the love languages, I think a lot of times we think about those in terms of like couples. And I love that you are using that to build those relationships with your children as well, or with your mother, or with friends, just with other people in your life and not just your partner. The words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. And for some people, man, like my daughter's is physical touch for sure. Like, absolutely, that's like her number one, which is why she's always on top of me. Like, if
Yeah.
we are in the same room, she is like on my lap, she's sitting on my leg, she's scooted up to my back, or she's like laying on top of me all the time, right? And that's like not one of mine. I mean, I love snuggling with my daughter, but oh my gosh, right? So
Right,
then if
right.
other people try to like show me, give me the love language of physical touch by like giving me a hug or whatever, even my partner, I'm like, oh no, like I got enough of that, right?
Right.
Because I'm trying to give my daughter love through that because that's her love language, even though it's not mine. And I've got people in my life whose love language is, well, my parents, one of their main ones is giving gifts. Like that is like their main love language, and it's like my bottom one. So it's like stressful for me to get gifts, right? But receiving them is part of that love language because I know that that's how they express love. And so even though I don't receive it that way, I can still receive theirs
Right.
that way because I know that that is what they, so, and it sounds like yours is acts of service
Yeah.
for sure,
Yeah.
right? And it's nice that that your partner and even your children, that they, as you learn that and go, nope, that's mine, and communicate that with other people, that it teaches other people about us, right? It goes like, oh, I understand why when I want you to just listen to me, you start like folding my laundry, right? Like I
Right.
understand why you do those things.
Yes.
It helps us to understand each other. I think that's so beautiful that you use that with your children, because I don't think it always gets used in that way. So what a
Yeah.
powerful thing to be teaching people and to be modeling how to do that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And so you're using these love languages with your children. You're teaching other moms how to do this kind of same communication with their families, with their loved ones, and with themselves mainly. And so is that when somebody follows you on Sister Soul Motherhood, what can they expect to find in terms of what are they going to find there that they can utilize in their lives?
So on System Soul Motherhood, I have a few things on there. I like to give tips for at home self care tips, because I feel like you don't always have to go out and spend money to do self care. There's a lot of things around the house that you can use to do self care. Like I was telling you, I light my candles. I love my candles. I'm pretty sure everyone has like some candles or incense that they can light up. I am big on music. I love listening to music for my self care. I listen to a lot of lo-fi, so I love listening to lo-fi without any words, and I just sit there. I collect my thoughts. Journaling is big for me. Like I don't write as much as I used to, as I was saying, but I do like to write. Reading is a good thing to do. For self-care tips, and I also put some things to do for your children on there. I like to keep my kids busy because kids like to be busy. So I also put things on there to do for kiddos, because it's so many things that they have opened up for the kids in St. Louis. I'm from St. Louis, so they have a lot of different things here. So I always like to put recommendations on things to do for the kids around the year, because I do follow a few pages social handles, and I'm a part of this thing on called like Kids Out and About that always sends me like things to do for the kids. So I like to share that with my fellow moms. I also like to like I said, do events, which I'm finna really get big on this year for moms. So where you can have a mixer and meet other moms like yourself that you can relate to, and just networking. I'm all about networking with other women, like-minded women, even fellow entrepreneurs. No, fellow entrepreneurs in the St. Louis area that you could collaborate with. You never know who you can meet. When you network. So that's what I'm gonna start sharing more too. I have been to a few events where I have met some very awesome, amazing women, and I just want to pour out, pour into others and just show them all the benefits, that my city does have to offer, and just let them know that they're not alone. And so that's my main thing for Sister Soul Motherhood, just showing, that it's so much stuff you can do for yourself to pour into yourself, but it's also other things you can do to meet other women and network with other women. I know a lot of women are like, I wish I could meet, some women like myself and stuff. So that's what I want to show. That it's a lot of moms out there, or just not, like I said, it doesn't have to be moms, just women in general that want to connect with other women and just, have fun, or, bounce ideas off of each other, and that you can collaborate with. So that's my main goal for Sister Soul Motherhood is a network of women where we can join forces and work together and empower each other and just show that we are amazing together. You're okay by yourself, but we're a force when we work together. So that's my main thing.
Yeah. So women can join whether they're mothers or not, then they can join your group. Awesome.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that message of you're not alone. I think especially during the pandemic from 2020 to even now, I mean, so many of our built-in social structures just instantly disappeared overnight. And now we're in a place where we're trying to rebuild some of those structures that we had before. We used to see people at work. We used to see people on the way to work. We used to see people, and motherhood changes all of those as well in a similar way that the pandemic does. And so those feelings of isolation are so powerful and are so linked with our mental health symptomology, that being able to have that opportunity to connect is so important for our mental health. I feel like the older we get, the harder it is to make friends. Like my daughter is 6. She makes friends everywhere she goes. When you're 6, you go, what's your name? What's your favorite color? Oh, we have the same favorite color. Great. We're best friends now. Right? It's so, and then the older we get, I think the harder it is to connect with people, right? We have the people we kind of see in our everyday lives, but we don't always have as much in common with them. And so being able to have these kind of communities in place that are supporting our mental health, that are supporting our healthy coping skills and our identities, and allowing us to express ourselves in that way, just become even more important, I think, as the years go by. So I love that you're sharing self-care tips as well, because I think there is this tendency to think of like chocolates and bubble baths and health spas, like, I'm going to go do self-care. I'm going to go like tan and get my nails done and stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But also going into the bathroom, lighting a candle and telling our family like, okay, don't knock on this door for 10 minutes. That is self-care. And I love what you're doing as intentional self-care too, because there is a movement going on right now with women and mothers. And there's new research, right, that females in a household spend 20 hours a week on taking care of the household, and that males on average spend like 6 hours, right? So there is still a discrepancy there. And 20 hours a week is half a full-time job, right? So if we're already working a full-time job, that's not including kid stuff. That's 20 hours a week just to be a woman living in a house.
Right.
So there,
because I think it's just like majority of the time, it's just a womanly nature to like, well, I know me personally, I like to clean. So like, even though my guy is here, he doesn't clean like I clean. So like, I'm like, I know you're here, but I got this, I got that, I got this, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that. And he's like, and so like, and then my kids have a tendency, even though he's sitting right there, they're like, okay, I'm gonna ask mom. Like, it's like, what about him? But it's like their instinct to come to me because they're like, I know she's gonna like do this and do that, like in a quick, fast, and a hurry. Whether he's like, just give me some time, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I'll help you with that, da da da. So it's like more on me, but that's just how it is.
and
So I
even,
completely understand.
yeah, and a lot of times that even just that managerial energy that we have to use, right? So even if we're assigning out chores to our children or to our partners and we're going, okay, I'm doing this. So like, you please load the dishwasher and you please go pick up 10 things in your room and you please what, that's still managerial energy that we are putting in. Now we're using thought energy to kind of manage the household. And sometimes that's even more exhausting than just going around and doing it, which is why then we go, well, that's exhausting to delegate. So I'm just going to do it all, right? Because in a way, it's easier. It's emotionally and mentally less energy to just go wash all the dishes than to try to delegate washing the dishes and having our 6-year-old drop them all, right? And all of that. So it is that mindset shift of having to do that. And I think that's why acts of service are so important, because an act of service isn't, I asked you to load the dishwasher. An act of service is, you loaded the dishwasher. I didn't have to spend emotional or mental energy asking you to do it, delegating it to you. And so because we have all of these things as women that kind of complicate these situations, and we've got that managerial role in a lot of cases in the household, it is that much more important that we have other outlets for that energy so that we can build that up and continue to do those managerial tasks. So yes, very cool. All right. So if you could give one suggestion to somebody that might be on the fence about starting counseling, what suggestion might you give them?
Do it. I feel like just do it. Don't think too much into it. I'm always recommending counseling to anyone I know. Like, I just feel like I was saying, like, when it comes to counseling, don't overthink it. Don't be like, oh, this or that, or I don't know, money wise. There's so many counselors that'll work with your budget. Then there's also counselors that does take, insurance, your insurance. So my biggest thing is do your research, find your person, and just do it. I feel like it's so beneficial when it comes to counseling, because you're talking to someone who is not going to be there to judge you. You're able to pour out into that person, and afterwards you feel so much lighter, like you feel so much release when it comes to counseling. And I just feel like, who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want to release all that frustration, or rather, whatever you have on your mind? Like, it's like an open diary, and it's the most greatest investment you could ever make when it comes to speaking to a counselor. And I just feel like, don't hesitate to do it. Just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
Hey, I am Paris J, the creator of SisterSoulMotherhood, and I needed a counselor.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Me too. So does Chrissa. We all do. It's so important. I love your message, and I love that you're out there advocating for mental health in all these different ways. It's just beautiful. So
thank you so much.
Yes. So if you are on Instagram, go check out Sister Soul Motherhood so that you can get those self-care tips, those activity ideas, and just all of this support that you're going to find on there in those connections. If you are in Iowa, go ahead and give us a call if you're looking for counseling for yourself or for your kiddos. Give us a call at 800-531-4236. I do my therapy over the phone, because telehealth is a thing now. And I love that because I'm like, nobody's looking at me either. It doesn't matter what I look like. It doesn't matter what I'm wearing. I'm on the phone and I just go. And in that way, it's even more like a diary because you're not even looking at the other person. And so lots of options there. So call us 800-531-4236.
And like Julie mentioned at the beginning of the episode, we post new episodes every Sunday at 5 p.m. Central. So save up whatever task that is that you hate doing that week and listen to us while you get that done. And we can help connect you with a counselor or help you connect with whoever our guest is for that week as well. And if you have any questions for us, you can reach us on our Facebook page at You Need a Counselor podcast, or on our Instagram at You Need a Counselor podcast, or we also have a new phone number. So if you want to leave us an anonymous text or voicemail and you have any questions for us, you can reach us there as well. So our phone number there is 515-650-3231. And those can be anonymous and we can answer your questions on our next episode. And we also have a Patreon now as well. So if you are interested in play therapy trainings, you can find our Patreon, Patreon/Heart and Solutions. Is correct? It's not on here, but I think that's what it is. Or you can find us on YouTube also. Okay, lots of places. So I'm Chrissa Hunt.
And I'm Julie Johnson, and we need a counselor.
And so do you.
Bye.